Hi, we're Darren and Jacqui Castle. We live at Eden near Cumbria. We have a Brahman Stud, Bar Boot Brahmans, and we sell a few Charbray bulls as well as stud bulls. We're producing high quality grey Brahman bulls and Charbray bulls that we sell in Western Australia, the Northern Territory and Queensland. We have our first bulls going to Rockhampton Brahman Week this year. We've been selling in Western Australia for, over 12 years. And we're trying to improve our genetics, and our feeding regime is helping grow our cattle out in a nice, smooth manner.
We've had Eden for probably 12 years, have we?
Yeah, 2006.
Yeah, came down.
2006.
Had country at Longreach, and then bought this place in the drought to save us giving all our cattle away still, and sent cattle down here, and then eventually bought more country here.
We were having quite a bit of trouble until Nutrien, the people in there, put us on to Ag Solutions, and we were now creep feeding our calves, and our weaning weights have risen 40 to 50 kilos. Our cattle are growing out in a very even manner. There's no highs and lows. They're not fed a high grain ration. It's just a nice smooth growth rate, and that's what we want. Since we've been with Ag Solutions, all of our feed is tested. The results are sent to Ag Solutions. They then tweak all of our mixes, and our mixes have the right amount of starch and everything else. Without that nutritional help, our cattle would not look like they do. They would not grow like they do. Especially in the last 4 years, we've not had a oats crop. So all of our weaners have been on a maintenance ration, which is tweaked compared to grain and what products we can get.
Yeah, it's just a slow and steady ration. We don't try and blow them up or push them along too much, just to keep them heading in the right direction, mainly, isn't it?
If we can get a weight gain of that kilo a day, then we're quite happy with that. Sourcing material has been terrible. But we have found with Ag Solutions we can send through a list of what we have, and our rations are made up compared to what we have.
I actually think, like I said to Gary before, I don't think we would have any cattle left here had it not been for the help you guys have given us and Nutrien in town. Like, the season's been that crook. And yeah, it's got us to where we are now, hasn't it?
I'm positive. We still are fully stocked, and we would not be without your help. Since we first came here, Ben Carroll from Nutrien was coming out, and he's our agronomist. He was helping with lots of stuff that was new to us. We'd never grown crops before. And then Ag Solutions came along. We had never really fed cattle before, other than drought feeding out at Longreach. And now we have a system that is cost effective and it works. I would say that Ag Solutions is accessible. They're always helpful, and without you guys, like lick and feeding and everything, is just so much harder. You guys make everything easy. Well, I know when Johnny Edwards was asking, because he knew we'd been feeding for a while, and he said, would you go anywhere else? And we both said no.
We don't have any need to. We're happy with
works.
You guys, and it works, and the proof's in the pudding and with the cattle. Yeah, well, originally we always joined our Brahman heifer, like our stud heifers, at 2-year-old, but just with the seasons the way they've been, and we've pushed for fertility a lot harder, so we've now joined as yearlings, and we keep them on oats normally if we have an oats crop, but to keep them going through the dry, we've put them on one of your rations, and we would not achieve those joining weights without that. There was just no way in the world it would ever happen.
When we wean onto a ration, and they never go back. That there's no backward step for them. It makes them quiet, and they're calm, and yeah, it's made a massive difference. But it also is saving us a lot of money. We're not holding heifers for 12 months that are doing nothing. They're in calf and producing.
And we get an extra calf out of them, joining them as yearling, as opposed to 2-year-olds, so it always helps the bank balance. If the season was a bit better, we probably wouldn't have them on a ration at the moment. Just it's been a late start, and we haven't had an oats crop in 4 years pretty well. But that has always been our aim, was to be able to wean and not have those cattle go backwards between weaning and then going on to oats. And as we've had no oats, well, we've just kept them on a maintenance ration.
It's a grain assist. It's not a feedlot set up. It's just an assist. They're still in the paddock. Yeah. They're still eating grass. They're still walking. We want them muscle, not fat, and we want them so that when we sell, they're going to last clients. They're not going to, they're not blowing up on feed. They're not brought along too quickly. A kilo a day is plenty, and we just keep them ticking along, and they last. We've had very good results, and especially Western Australia is tough, and the bulls are lasting well. They're lasting their working life, so that's what we're aiming for. For our bins, our feed ration, we use Megamin Feedlot Enhancer, and for our lick, which we make ourselves, we use the Megamin Original Minerals. When we do have oats, we put the magnesium out. Now, we weren't doing that originally, and then Ag Solutions suggested that we try it, and we had tremendous results, especially with heifers. The heifers, they had really good results.
We started off with commercial Brahmans, and Jacqui and I spent nearly all our life in the top end of Australia, like as in Kimberley and Territory. And that's sort of where the Brahman connection came from, and the love of them. And then when we came down here, being a smaller place, we thought we would target seed stock. We always wanted to, and we know a lot of people in the north, so that helped us a lot as far as finding clients. And yeah, that's the Brahman story, I guess. Yep.
We started with 20 cows. Our stud started from 20 cows. And now I think we've got about 200. So I find the nutrient store in Kingaroy is very, very helpful. It doesn't matter who you see on the staff, if it isn't their particular area, if you're asking about something, they get someone to help you. They always have what we need. It's very rare they don't. They'll order anything for you, and their products are very good. They also seem to have a very good relationship with their suppliers. Even when it was hard to get product, they had very, very good supply. I'd like the people in the city to see the care and all of the work we do to make sure our animals are comfortable and safe, and they're happy.
We go without before they go without, don't we?
Yeah, it's for us. You have them behind wire, and there's a morality to it. You're responsible for them. You're responsible for their welfare, whether it's a cow, a horse, a dog. You're responsible for it, and it would be nice if city people could see how we feel about our stock.
Well, when we first started off with our sale bulls, we were still contract mustering in the Kimberley and Territory. Then we used to take a road train load of horses and a deck of bulls over, and at night all the kids that worked for us, we'd feed all the horses with a nose bag, and the bulls used to get a nose bag as well and live with the plant horses. And that's how we first kicked off. We only had a handful of bulls that used to go over to the sale, and then gradually as we've got more numbers. And yeah, well, our WA sale, it's an invitational sort of a Boss Indica sale. There's drought masters, and there's about probably how many clients? Vendors, 14 or 16 vendors. Been going over there for about 14 years now. And this year was really tough with COVID because all the vendors couldn't go, and with all the restrictions, so we got passes to get over, and we took 12 decks, but 260 odd bulls went across. Only 2 of us went with 2 truck drivers, and yeah, just every day was a challenge because it changed every day. The rules were changing. 3 COVID tests later and a straw stuck in your nose, eventually we got across the WA border. So
how long does it take you to get there?
it takes a week of travel, and normally we get all the bulls together here, sort of in the South Burnett, and then we go to Michael Flynn's at Valera Vale at Charleville, and Michael is a vendor as well, and he is good enough to let us spell the bulls there for a couple of days. Then we load up and a big run through to Cloncurry and spell the bulls there in Cloncurry again and feed them, and then the next run through to Katherine, a couple of days spell there, feed again, and then across the border into WA and down to Fitzroy Crossing. So it's a big trip.
The bulls arrive on Monday, and normally all the vendors arrive on the Sunday before, but this year we were lucky enough that a lot of the stations went in and helped Darren and Johnny. Otherwise, I don't know how they would have done it. Like, there was a lot of station people came and helped them.
And obviously you can't have pump bulls going across that distance, you know, to be on a truck for a week, and big heavy bulls, you can't have, you've got to have them right to get there, otherwise they don't make it. Yeah.
In all the years that since we've been feeding a ration from Ag Solutions, we've not had a bull breakdown. Like, they've all made the trip and made it well and walked off, and we've had no trouble with bulls over there.
Like, we've had a pretty crook run. We came from the Territory to Longreach and started off with over 1,000 breeders there and ended up with 100 down here, cull heifers left, and then started again. And we've had a few reasonable years here, and now we're in a bit of a crook cycle again, but every day's a challenge, isn't it? Just the weather and rain and sourcing feed. And
feeding has been probably 4 or 5 times the cost of what it was before, which is it's huge. But by the same token, when you look at the article we have, and it's a saleable article now, and the oldest is 13 months, well, then it's worthwhile. But apart from that, it goes back to the morality again. Like, we've got them here, we've got to feed them. We don't have enough grass, so you feed them. There was a time that I was here by myself and I had a broken leg, and I could go out and sing out, and they'd come up and then the dogs would bring them home. A lot of it is in the breeding. We cull anything that is not quiet. But we also everything's handled, heifers, bulls, everything's handled, they're weighed all the time. And I think when you're feeding, you're out in amongst them all the time, and they're used to seeing you. So that's probably the beauty of a smaller place like this. It's really hard to get across the difference that Ag Solutions has made. I know I've tried to tell you before, but it's huge. It's huge. The creep feeders, you know, you're weaning 40 to 50 kilos heavier. It's massive. That's dollars in your pocket. The cows don't get dragged down. The benefits were just so massive. And then you go on to the weaners and all the different feed rations, the accessibility to when, like, sometimes I think, oh Lord, you must be sick of me. But you never get that feeling when you contact Ag Solutions. You don't feel that you're a bother. And the answers come back, and then Ag Solutions will follow up and make sure that you're okay. And it's working for you, and it's huge. It's huge.
We appreciate it because it works. Look at the difference in our cattle. Like in the last however many years it's been, it's just made life so much better for us, as in to look after our cattle and present them.
And we are people, we're a bit sooks, I guess. We don't like poor cattle at all, but like even our cows, last year we had 4 inches of rain and the average is supposed to be 29 inches, and like we hand fed the cows and it made a massive difference. Like they had milk for their calves, they were strong and healthy, whereas if you can say, okay, we're going to feed cottonseed, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, but unless you've got the backup that we get from you guys, you don't really know what you're achieving, and you're quite often not feeding the correct thing. So yeah, it's huge. It's huge. Well, even our, pregnancy rate, since we've got our lick right and everything else, our pregnancy rate has gone through the roof. Like the dry has knocked us around a little bit with first and second calvers, but realistically, for how bad it's been, like we're doing pretty good. It's it just makes a difference. If we weren't feeding it, we would not have half the calves on the ground.